this might be a tough decision right now.
My team did absolutely
NFL games that were like, whoa.
I actually don't
Had
understand.
a lot of mixed feelings.
Welcome, Disgruntled. We have another guest here on the League of the Wings.
So who wants to do the intro, you or me?
You can, since you haven't been on the podcast in a while. I feel like it's your place.
I guess it is my place.
And I guess that is what you will do then. So are you going to do it?
Are you ready? You didn't let me know if you're ready or not.
I'm ready, whatever, man.
All right. Wow. It's good to be back. Can't believe it's been so long since, I don't know, I guess we talked about the draft. Was that the last time? Or maybe it was a little bit of free agency. Maybe it was a little bit of both. I don't know. But it's good to be back in general. I've had a long absence. I've had some guest appearances, I guess, like that one Toronto video where we were doing the card game on this podcast, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know, I've been live streaming on the Tattoo Show. On this channel, but, I name it the Tattoo Show anyways. It's just my little segment on the channel. Not going to be able to do that as much anymore now that we're in the fall and I got to get back to school, back to work. But you know what is coming back?
Football, baby.
Football. More content. Me talking about my favorite team, the Colts, and all the other 31 teams, whether I like them or not. We will get into every aspect of the NFL week by week, talking about who we think is going to win what games, and why, and who we think will be the MVP, coaches of the year, who we think is going to be a breakout star, even if they don't get an award for it, who's doing well for us in fantasy. We talk about that sometimes.
That's what the podcast was made on.
Overall,
the
who we
fantasy.
think is going to win Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do here on League of the Wings. For those of you who don't know, and this is maybe your first episode tuning in, be sure to keep up with us every week, uploading on what day? Thursdays?
Yeah.
So we're getting a bit we're about 2-3 weeks out before the actual kickoff between the Bills and the Rams. But we just wanted to give a little overview of the offseason, update you all for those of you who haven't been keeping up about who's been going where and why and how the NFL is shaping out, who's the favorite now. You know what I mean? That's all it really is. So I guess we should hop right into it. Just give our general impressions of how the offseason has gone, maybe about our own teams or about what we were seeing from other teams. And just get into the news of it all. Caleb, would you like to lead the way in that direction?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just looking back on where we actually left. Our last place was the draft recap. I forget what we went over in that video, like what free agencies happened. I just did a Eagles update video that's 43 minutes long, so I won't be talking about the Eagles as much. If you want my opinion on the Eagles free agency, go take a look at that video. I'll be ignoring that. I'll be ignoring the Eagles this episode. But yeah, it's been a kind of stale in the summer, hasn't it, B? Because I feel like there was a lot of trades right away from Tyreek Hill, Russell Wilson.
True.
That kind of kicked it all off. Like, I feel like everything kind of happened. I think we went over everything, because I vaguely remember talking about Russell Wilson.
Yeah, we did talk about Russell Wilson a little bit. I don't know in what context though, just like because we all knew he was going to get traded, but we didn't know why or like where. But now we have more information about that, exactly how much compensation Seattle received, and kind of like how are the Broncos going to look in general, I guess is what we've been thinking. Because like, yeah, Russell gets traded, but like, well, how does that affect the franchise after like the months that follow? Who are the people that we are expecting to like really break out now that there's new leadership in there, and also a new coach? I think is really important to also add. Not only they have the new quarterback, but they have a new coach, which that turnover in like leadership is not very often. Usually quarterbacks are drawn to a new franchise by a coach that has a firm grip of that franchise. I mean, the only times I see like new quarterbacks and new coaches coming in is when they're actually trading away a franchise quarterback for just like someone who's temporary, such as Matthew Stafford going to LA. So Jared Goff comes in with the new coach, MCDC. Go check out Hard Knocks if you haven't. There's going to be some cool training camp videos from the Colts and the Lions. Some good film of that. I'm excited to watch that personally. But it's very interesting to see that Russell chose Denver when they've had a huge like turnaround within their organization. But I can also see why. There's a lot of star power there. Their wide receivers are great. Trey's going to be watching this, and he's going to be smiling ear to ear. I already know it. Trey's our roommate, big Broncos fan. They got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. They had a guy get injured who I think he's out for the whole year. I think his name's Hamler, or maybe I'm talking about a different wide receiver, but they did have a wide receiver just get injured recently. So they may be on the lookout for a trade right before the season starts for another wide receiver, maybe a Jalen Reagor type.
Hopefully. No, I wouldn't. No, okay. I'm wanting to keep Jalen Reagor, and I won't even hope that into existence. Not even. And I'm like one of the biggest Eagles fans out there, so. And I want Jalen Reagor gone from the Eagles organization as much as the next guy. But I like Trey. I forgot his name for a second.
I like Trey.
Brendan. I like Trey a little bit too much for me to put that curse onto him and on his team. But it's an interesting dilemma that I forgot what I was going to say. But no, I remember now. So that happened with the Eagles. It was Doug Pearson and Carson Wentz came on the same year after Chip Kelly and that disaster of organization. But yeah, I don't think that happens that much where we see that in that case. It doesn't. It's interesting to see where that will take us. And
For sure.
You know what's interesting?
What?
Sean McVay is about to become the most winningest head coach of all time. He just needs to play a couple more games, and he's like at 800 level. Like it's like he needs to like break a minimum, because I think it's like a 45 game minimum or something. But it's like he's a couple games away and he would be tied, I'm pretty sure.
For most winningest coach of all time?
Yeah.
Sean McVay?
Yeah.
The young-ass Rams coach?
Yeah.
How is he going to be the most winningest coach of all time?
Well, I meant like winning percentage, right?
Winning percentage. Oh, I thought you meant like win total. I was
No.
young-ass coach. He's one of the youngest coaches. Probably the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl. Head coach, that is. I'm like, he's already beaten fucking Belichick. What are you talking about?
Wait,
but
no,
that would make sense percentage wise. He's very similar to the Packers coach in that sense. Matt. It's not Matt Rule. Who am I thinking of? What is his last name? Packers coach, man.
I don't even know. I don't know.
His name is Matt. Matt LaFleur. My bad. There's so many Matts in the NFL. I immediately popped in mind was Matt Rule, and I knew that was so wrong because the Panthers suck. But it's similar to him. He's only had a winning season, and it's always been like 13 wins. He's been on the team for like, 3-4 years now, and it's been a consistent number of wins. And, you know, when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who's had back-to-back MVPs in that time, that does help. But these young coaches, man, they really are bringing a new flavor to these offenses. I mean, I think that's something that like Sean McVay has implemented really well, is just like a new dimension to the offenses that we haven't really seen a lot. He definitely, I would say, had a big role in helping out like Todd Gurley and his breakout. Unfortunately for Gurley, he did kind of subside afterwards, but a lot of running backs do in the NFL, unfortunately. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Overall,
because he is currently at a .68 overall winning percentage, .681, and the highest is George Halas.
Yeah.
At .682.
That's crazy.
So he's .001 away from being that winning percentage?
Another coaching change that I've noticed that I think will be very interesting to watch how it unfolds is Mike McDaniel to the Miami Dolphins. We've talked a lot about free agency and trades, but I don't know if we've talked about a lot of the coaching changes. Mike McDaniel is someone that I'm on Twitter, sports Twitter a lot, and I interact with like a lot of the beat writers for various teams. Whether they like to recognize me and acknowledge me or not is fine because I'm just a random, let's be honest. But sometimes they do, and there was this one 49ers reporter that was talking about Mike McDaniel back when he was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, and saying how he was never going to leave the 49ers. Or at least the reporter felt like he never was and hoped they never was. That was the other important thing. There was a lot of bias in that claim. It's like Mike McDaniels never wants to leave, and that's likely because he doesn't want to go anywhere where weed is illegal.
What?
And it's not that he's...
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, I misheard you. Yeah. I remember you telling me this.
And
this is awesome.
it's not that Mike McDaniel has ever come forward and talked about it, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that he smokes a dubious amount.
Yes.
And another thing was just like he's been raised in that tree from the Shanahan tree. He was a part of he was there with the Browns back when they had Manziel. And so he's kind of been following Shanahan throughout his career, but now we're finally at a point where Mike McDaniel has to make his own legacy, split off from Shanahan, and he did what the reporter said he wanted. He actually like left the 49ers, left the family tree, and is now going to be a head coach on his own. He's brought a lot of guys with him. He obviously really likes the run game because if you look at that Miami Dolphins running back roster, that depth chart, it's absolutely insane. Like if this was maybe 2-3 years ago, you'd think it's the greatest running back depth chart of all time. Now they're not as like notable. They haven't exactly pulled the stats that they used to, but or they didn't have like the reputation as they used to. Maybe they're once great prospect but never actually translated to the NFL. But I think it could be really interesting, that running back room, that core, making sure no one gets overly, I guess, not too many carries and like gassed out by like mid-season. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes out. And also, he managed to get Tyreek Hill there. He got a lot of, I think they had one of the best off seasons overall. That a lot of people like don't want to talk about because they love to shit on Tua. And they're like, it all comes back to Tua. It's like, yeah, they got Tyreek Hill, but who's throwing to him? You know, and it's like all this shit. But like when you really look at Mike McDaniel's offense, it's mainly run. It's always been run heavy. I mean, we had Deebo Samuel break out last year. Who was there as offensive coordinator? It was Mike McDaniel. So I think we could see Tyreek Hill take on a little bit more of that role as well, where he doesn't actually have to get the deep ball as much, but he can actually just like start from the line of scrimmage and then get a bunch of yak because he's one of the fastest in the business. And there's a lot of other things they could do. They have a lot of weapons. Look, you already pulled it up. They have Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, Sony Michel. Myles Gaskin is there. Like, poor Myles Gaskin. He was the starter last year, and now he's like number 4.
Yeah.
because of the change in regime.
Is there a reason why people hate Tua, or is it just because he's slightly bad?
Okay.
Not even slightly bad, but...
He hasn't really been able to perform to the standards that he's been hyped up to. He's also an Alabama quarterback who has won national championship. So there's like a lot of eyes on him in general from when he enters the NFL, and that's been like every Alabama quarterback. I mean, you think of Mac Jones. Like, he probably had like just as much of a... people talking about him as much as like Trevor Lawrence did. Even though people had higher expectations of Trevor Lawrence, people were talking about Mac Jones just as much. They weren't talking about like Trey Lance as much, even though they were the same draft class and Trey Lance was drafted higher. But it's because of, you know, the media attention, mainly, in my opinion. And like how much the NFL like hyped up Tua's first start and his first touchdown being like the most accurate pass of the year, you know. I think a lot of people just like look at that and it's like, okay, yeah, but he's not throwing it 60 yards downfield like Aaron Rodgers can, or like, you know, like there's just a lot of people that like to combat what the media says so that overall there's not a lot of like overhype, I guess. That's my personal stance on it. I think, yeah, there is a lot of hype from the media that could be brought down a notch, but you shouldn't be hating on him I think he's done a decent job in his first 2 years with the chances he's gotten, because he hasn't really gotten a full go at being a starter yet, whether that's due to injury or someone actually being rostered above him in the depth chart. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah, and then like what you were saying about like the running backs too, I had no idea that they had Mozart, Edmonds, and/or Michelle. Like I had no idea that they had any of those running backs.
Some of their offseason has been pretty quiet, but they just like keep adding them on.
Yeah, it's weird. And I knew Chase Edmonds wasn't on the Cardinals. No, I thought he was still on the Cardinals. Well, he was their running back. I thought Raheem was still on the 49ers. I was looking at Raheem in fantasy, and I was like, oh my gosh, we had Raheem. Should I pick up Raheem or should I not? And I was like, nah, I'm not going to.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize.
As far as fantasy is concerned, a lot of people are like not touching the Miami running back room just because of how many there are there and how like fickle it can be, like who's placed above each other on the depth chart. So Arizona Cardinals depth chart as far as running back go. Running back number 1, James Conner, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably the most underrated pickup of like the last offseason, where the Steelers running back came over to Cardinals, and then he didn't have like a super productive season, but like he was really good in the red zone. That was something that people pointed out a lot. And he was pretty good for fantasy teams in that aspect because touchdowns are the most important thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have Darrell Williams, who you may recognize. He's a name that people thought may overtake the Kansas City Chiefs running back 1 spot. Take that away from the LSU product. You know what I'm talking about. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then they have some rookies, it seems like. I've been kind of looking at Keontae Ingram. He's been talked about a little bit in the Arizona media as impressing, but still not going to be able to make a full jump yet. You know, he's probably going to be sidelined for the first year, but maybe he can do something in the second year. We'll see. Caleb and I will keep an eye on that for you guys.
We are your most trusted, newsworthy NFL source.
And then speaking about the Cardinals, let's stray away from like the coaching changes and like regime changes and start talking about something that has happened quite a lot this offseason and has a lot of focus: the suspensions. Because on the Cardinals, one of the biggest names is going to be suspended for the first 6 games, and that is DeAndre Hopkins. Leading to Kyler Murray going to have to depend on Rondale Moore, a second year wide receiver, and Marquise Brown, a newly acquired wide receiver via trade from the Ravens, as you know, Hollywood Brown, of course, and then also AJ Green, who's a respectable candidate. He's older now. He's not going to be the same AJ Green as he was with the Bengals, but still really good. And then also Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is still there, tight end, with Trey McBride by his side, maybe going to help him develop a lot, have that veteran presence in the tight end room, so that I think McBride was the first overall tight end taken in the draft. He may have been second. I'm not sure, but something like that. Would you like to talk about the other suspensions as well? I'm going to put that on Caleb.
You fucking dick. But we got some sad news. Deshaun Watson was originally, I'm pay attention to the word originally only suspended 6 games for sexually assaulting 22 women. Okay, we don't know if it's
sexual misconduct.
Misconduct. A lot of women.
A lot
of women. 22 was the last time I heard. No, 27 was the last time I heard.
Yeah, it's up.
It's been up since the last time we talked about it. Holy shit. So I think that ruling came out a couple weeks ago, last week maybe, early in last week or maybe the end of the week before. So everyone was freaking out about it. Everyone in the comments was saying how do you let one of your players gamble, or how do you let one of your players be suspended for an entire year for gambling $1,200 in which he makes us in a second. He makes that during the coin flip of a game, of the start of a game. How are you going to suspend Calvin Ridley for an entire year but only suspend Watson for 27 plus cases of sexual misconduct, and everyone was like commenting on the NFL like, how the hell do you like let this happen? Like, it should only 6 games. Like, you let other people, or you destroy other people's career over weed, like Josh Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Pat McAfee got destroyed a little bit with weed stuff, or I don't know if it was
he was
weed.
actually let off easy comparatively.
Yeah, comparatively he got let off easily, but just from hearing what he had to go through to deal with it, like it was very strenuous like lengths that he had, even for a slap on the wrist that Pat McAfee got. Not even a slap on the wrist, but like, how do you let that happen? How are you more stern on gambling and a little bit weed to help with joint pain, because they're doing that because of joint pain, to help them out so that they're healthier and feel better during when season comes, and that makes them better like players, and it's better for the sport. And gambling just makes it more interesting, like as long as it's not like, you know, like I don't think it should be a thing, but it definitely shouldn't be like a year-long suspension, you know. It should be like a couple games, and then if it's a repeat offense, then yeah, sure, keep adding on to it. But how are you going to let gambling and smoking a little bit of weed be more effective than punting women and domestic violence and sexual misconduct? Like, how are you going to just let those serious actual criminal offenses go and like that? I just don't understand. I get frustrated year in year out when you hear about Kareem Hunt kicking a woman and he's still in the league somehow, and you hear like a few Cowboys players. I'm not trying to single out Cowboys players because I hate the Cowboys, but there has been a couple like Cowboys players where they were in prison, or they got caught like doing like fucking beating up their girlfriends and or wives, but yet they still found themselves in the league. But if you gamble a couple of shekels, you're out for a year, and you basically stop the traction of your league, like your progress as a player. Like, I just don't understand the NFL at all. It's run by a boys club that doesn't know how to fucking even run a boys club. Like, I guess they do know how to do it because they're doing everything wrong. Like, it's messed up what the NFL is doing. And they recently, thank the Lord, they bumped it up to 11 games. Like, that makes it so much better. Like, it should be year minimum, like, at least.
And by the way, in that change from, what was it? They said 6 games originally?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? That change in how much money Watson makes from 6 games to 11 games is $0, because of the way the Browns are complicit in structuring that contract so that he would make money no matter how much he was punished. Which is bullshit, by the way. To have a fully guaranteed contract like that and have it structured so that he doesn't face really any consequences other than, I guess, setting back the Browns organization a year, I guess, since he is their new franchise star. They're probably not going to make playoffs unless Jacoby Brissett has an absolutely wild season.
I hope he does. I
don't hope he does, because then we'd have to see Watson in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, that is true.
In his first year back, and I don't want that.
Yeah, I guess if they're spending that much money, even if Jacoby is having an MVP season, they're still bench him. But if he's like having an MVP season, do you think
They're gonna play Watson?
Yeah. That's messed up.
You know they would, and it's like Jacoby Brissett is not gonna have an MVP season.
Yeah.
Like, he could have a good season. I'm not gonna deny that, but come on.
Yeah.
I consider him the best backup in the league.
Even Foles or Minshew?
I really do believe that. I do. And that's not just from what he does on the field, but what he does in the locker room. And like all the Colts players felt that absence in the year that Wentz came in and Jacoby left, as well as Rivers. Because let's be honest, Wentz can be a good quarterback, but he's never been a leader.
And he never will be, because he's a fucking slut. Like,
Damn.
Fuck Wentz. I was high on the Wentz train, but not anymore, baby.
But yeah, I think the Watson stuff is very fucked up, and the NFL needs to do better about how they approach it. And at some point, you have to turn star quarterback, or just a star player in general into an example for the rest of the league, like, you are not going to be able to get away with this. This is career ruining. And also, you have to penalize the organizations that are also complicit. Whether I'm not going to say the Browns as much because this came after the actual cases, but the Texans were complicit in actually organizing, and this is a report that came out from the New York Times not too long ago now, about the Texans organization actually organizing and scheduling those appointments and getting hotel rooms that wouldn't be like traced back to via receipts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why they did it in such anonymity is beyond me, for something that is supposed to be as regular and normalized as just, getting some massage therapist for joint pain and stuff like that, like trying to relax the muscles and all that. That's something that is supposed to not be as shady as the Texans organization made it out to be. So obviously something's going on there, and it doesn't take a genius to understand that they were complicit in Watson's actions, even if they didn't understand the full length of what Watson was doing. And so I think there should be some penalty there as well. But the NFL is just going to kind of ignore that and focus on what everyone else is going to focus on, which is Watson and will he play a game in the future, which,
I think it would be better if they delete Watson, like you said, like canceling, making an example out of him. I think we should just delete Watson from the league, because the league didn't struggle in his absence. They absolutely didn't struggle at all. If anything, they grew as a business. And if you lay down the law and be like, all right, you're not playing in this league anymore, then that's going to look a lot better on the NFL organization, and people may actually start watching more. And I didn't see this, but you were saying when I came home the one day, I think it was from like the internship or something, but you were saying how there was like people outside of the Browns game with like shirts on, like a preseason game. Like,
there was like, how there's always like those vendors that aren't associated with the stadium that were like, that sell merch.
Yeah.
Someone was selling like "fuck them hoes" or something like that. Massage me, bitch. Something very explicit, and basically saying Watson was in the right. Or Watson did nothing wrong, which he had been saying over and over. Along those lines, someone was selling those shirts, not affiliated with the Browns stadium or anyone that is actually a part of the Cleveland Browns organization, but still, that's the culture now that they've established. Whether they're going to take responsibility for it or not, they did that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the culture they have created in Cleveland sports.
It's so messed up. Like, now, how like the Browns are like kind of grimy, like they're the worst team in the league, like 1-31 in the last 2 seasons. It's like, oh, it's just the Browns. They're kind of a dumpster fire of a franchise, and they're like, oh, they're actually making a name for themselves because they got Baker, they got all these nice pieces, and it looks like they were a solid team. I mean, like, they fucking went toes to toes with the Chiefs in the fucking playoffs. Like, if you can say that, especially the Browns, then it's pretty like incredible. It's a pretty incredible feat that you can turn around a 131 2-year span to something that they did before the Watson trade, and an actual respectable like franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And now you just completely flipped that around again and like torched it. Now it's a complete dumpster fire. I don't even want to watch any Brown related game or even consume any Brown content anymore, because I was like, damn, okay. It's so dark.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Also, we probably should reset it soon anyways. It was already pretty like shadowy earlier, but I think outside it's gotten a lot more dim. So we're just going to reset the camera real quick. I think we can move on from that conversation though. I think we spent an appropriate amount of time on it. Yeah, let's brighten the mood in general. Yeah. I'm going to start with something actually sad, but we'll lead it into some other football news that isn't as sad. Let's talk injuries, season-ending injuries.
Oh, yeah.
While we're already on a dark note, I guess might as well segue into that.
I love how you're like, let's cheer this up a little bit. So let's talk about career-ending injuries, baby.
Not career, not
Oh.
career. Season. I don't know if I accidentally say career earlier, but
No, I think no, you did say season. It was might be.
yeah. Because I don't want to manifest that for the people that I'm about to list. So Mekhi Becton for the Jets, the prodigy at left tackle, I believe. Could be right tackle, but I'm gonna assume it's left tackle because of who ended up taking his place. But he will be out for the season, which is brutal for the Jets because it's a young player that had a lot of potential going into the second season, and now, or maybe third, and now won't be able to capitalize on that growth, especially in an offense that has gotten more stacked with the additions of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, I believe, is who they drafted as at wide receiver. And with Zach Wilson continuing to improve, as well as everyone else in the offense, really. They weren't amazing last year, but they showed signs of growth and promise. And him being out is going to kind of ruin their whole team in a way. But they did bring in a really great veteran by the name of Dwayne Brown, who I predicted might go to the Ravens after the whole Orlando Brown thing and not being sure about who would be filling in at tackle there. And then you said he would retire. So you were wrong.
I'm right. Wait, you said I'm right?
He will not be retired. But despite this veteran pickup, what happens first preseason game to Zach Wilson in the absence of Mekhi Becton, who had a lot of promise at guarding the quarterback? You know what happens? He gets injured.
Damn.
Out for the rest of the game.
Damn.
People saying, oh shit, what's going to happen to Zach Wilson? They were looking at his knee, potential knee injury there. They're like, oh shit, that could be season ending after he already has faced some pretty bad injuries in his NFL career already up to this point. But luckily, everyone calm down now. He's probably only going to be out like first game, maybe second game, but if any at all. I'm not too sure where they are on that, but it won't be a season-ending injury, and it won't even be. Yeah, it's not going to be that much.
Oh,
so
that's
that's thankful because Jets would never forgive Eagles fans if that happened.
Well, that's what they get because
Whoa.
they pummeled Jalen Hurts into the sidelines, and they didn't even call it a penalty. It was a late hit. It was tack for tack.
That did happen.
It was tack for tack.
That sounds fucked up.
Call me an
Anyways,
Eagles fan. It's okay. I'm an Eagles fan. I can say it.
likely, I don't know if this is confirmed yet, but these type of injuries usually only mean one thing: the Colts punter.
Oh no.
Rigoberto Sanchez, who I don't believe he's ever made a Pro Bowl up to this point, but he should. A lot of people in the league consider him a really great punter and a really important part of what I think it may be one of the best special teams in the whole league, thanks to Bubba, our dude who's the special teams coordinator.
I like Bubba. Bubba's a cool man.
That will be likely a season-ending injury, and it came off of sprints.
Ooh.
They were doing, I don't know if it was suicides or just like sprints, but at the end of practice, and he just collapsed. And he was looking at
Is he still alive?
Achilles. I think it was his Achilles. He's alive. But this is coming almost a year after he beat cancer as well, and was out for a duration in the previous season. So
oh no.
He's gone through a lot in his NFL career.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
And so yeah, maybe Pat McAfee makes a return.
Yeah, I'd like
punting.
to see that. He's too committed to weeding.
Last dance.
Last dance, LMAO.
DeForest Buckner even tweeted it at him. That's how far the joke has gone. Like the players are actually talking about it.
Yo, Pat McAfee has such a stranglehold on the Colts organization in all the good ways possible.
Well, I would give Colts organization credit for actually getting him to the point he has gotten to. They definitely helped out with him starting his media career. They even got him into training camp. They gave him a setup there where he could do his live show at training camp and get actual footage of those plays of us on day one, the wide receivers destroying the defensive back unit of the Lions in the one-on-one drill.
Yeah.
Which does favor the wide receivers, but still, as Darius Butler, a former defensive back for the Colts, did say on that show, they shouldn't be dominating this bad.
Damn.
Let's go, Colts.
Let's go, baby.
I don't recall many other season-ending injuries that have really shaken up the NFL, that have like really taken over social media.
I want to note too, we went over a majority of the free agency.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that from my memory, I'm like, what did we go over so that like I don't repeat myself or repeat like certain free agency things. But I didn't realize because we basically did back-to-back 1.5 hour podcasts. The first one being like predicting every NFL team's first round draft picks and the free agency update, and then we did a draft update or recap. So that makes me feel better because I'm like, oh my gosh, what did we go over, what we didn't go over? Because like I want to cover as much as possible. 1, 2 for entertainment purposes, and 2 for documentary purposes. And because I just got reminded because I looked up the Saints head coach and I forgot that he became their head coach this year back in February. That seems like decades ago at this point, but. Like, remember that joke? I was like, I must cover every single new head coach possible. And then I ended up listing every new head coach. So that makes me feel a little bit better. But not saying, like, all the information that we just said I feel like is new. And I just want to say, okay, I got a couple questions for you. Where do you want to take this podcast? Do you want to talk about the Colts and update the people about their training camp and how the past summer has gone for the Colts? Any like little updates or tidbits? Or do you want to go over fantasy first? Because we did do that draft, and I do want to go over the fantasy draft that we had this past weekend.
I wanted to keep it more general. Like, we can definitely do the fantasy stuff later, but I've already like kind of referenced the Colts every now and then in this podcast already. I don't want to get like too deep into it. Same thing with you. Like, you did your whole Eagles update. Like, that's a very specified conversation that you already had, and I don't want to get too deep about one particular team. I want to focus on the big headlines of the league, and then get into the fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I say no if you had any if you wanted to vent a little bit off the Colts or anything.
Nothing to vent about.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy about how things are going. Obviously, I mean, you expect a big injury to shake up every team before regular season at some point. You know, that's just how it goes. Rigoberto Sanchez injury, like, it sucks, definitely. It's gonna hurt us a little bit, but it's gonna happen to every team, I feel like. So other than that, I'm happy with what the Colts have done. I've also talked about in the free agency stuff as well about Matt Ryan and all that, so I'm pretty okay with just leaving that be. One thing that has been talked about frequently in the media that I'm honestly kind of tired about, but I feel like should get brought up by us at least once, even if for just maybe a couple of seconds. It's Tom Brady. Where is he? Does he even care about the team? Was he hosting Masked Singer or something? That so many conspiracy theories, like, oh my god, he's one of the Masked Singer contestants and blah 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 blah. Oh my god, maybe his mom is in the hospital, something like that.
Oh no! Wait, does his mom have problems, or was he just like predicting doom on his family? Like, did she have like problems, or
no?
Like?
I was just saying, like, this is what the internet was saying about like being like conspiracy theories. That's what is happening to Tom Brady? Why isn't he at training camp? People were freaking out.
That's kind of messed up. It's like, oh my god, his mom's in the hospital. That's kind of like, that's bad juju.
Yeah, it's not good to predict any of that on anyone's families, of course, but it has been figured out that he is just spending time with family. Why it came up during training camp has not been for sure, but It's not been confirmed or anything like that, but teammates have made it sound like it was serious, and when they talked about it in the press conferences, and even the coach seemed not too bothered about it. Anyways, it is Tom Brady. He's a veteran. He'll come back and do his thing, but still very weird. New head coach now. A lot of new pieces, actually. Like, he has a new wide receiver in Russell Gage and some other guys there. Like, he's now without Gronkowski, so he has to build a rapport with a new tight end. You would think maybe he would be needed, and that not to say that like he shouldn't spend time with family, but you'd think that maybe the coach would talk about it a little bit more seriously. Like, yeah, this might hurt us a little, but we'll get over it. You'd think he'd like look at it in that light, but he was pretty vague about his feelings towards it. He was like, yeah, this is what Tom Brady needs to do at this moment, be with his family. So I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I don't remember a time where this has really happened. Veteran quarterbacks that are like very involved in the culture of the franchise and like being as big as the leader as he is and just as big of a name. I haven't really seen a time where they miss a lot of training camp for stuff like this. So it's going to be interesting to see if they get off to a rough start or not. A lot of people are keeping tabs on it, it seems like.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I saw that. I'm like, I thought that was just passing news. I'm like, are we really talking about Tom Brady now? I'm tired of hearing Tom Brady.
Honestly, I get that, yeah, but it seems like it's still been circulating for the past couple of weeks. Like, people still seem to want to talk about it.
I guess I know the clickbait for the title now. Then, will Tom Brady ever come back? Is he joining the Eagles? Question mark.
Oh my god, terrible, absolutely terrible.
Oh my god, did he lose a leg? What happened to Tom Brady? We need to find these answers out now, and if we don't get these answers now, I'm quitting League of the Wings, and Titus will be the host forever.
Oh. Another big headline that seems to have been circulating recently is Lamar Jackson and that contract situation. He's going into the last years of the contract. He said he does not want to play his first game of the season until he is signed. I think he would regardless. Like, he's not going to just like not play, but it was basically that's his mentality in representing himself in the contract negotiations is like, I want this to get done before regular season. And it seems like they were happy with a number as far as how big of a contract was. Seemingly, according to sources, it was bigger than Kyler Murray's. But Lamar Jackson wants it fully guaranteed like Watson's. And the Ravens aren't so sure.
Ooh.
Now, let's think about Watson for a second. Has he ever won a playoff game? I don't believe he has.
I don't think he has either, but let me just double check.
Has he ever gotten an MVP?
No.
I don't think he has.
Has he ever led the league in rushing?
No, I don't think.
No,
I don't think so.
no,
I don't think
yeah,
so.
no.
I don't think so.
No.
Has he ever backed out of his team for a full year because he's not happy with his current situation? No.
Wait. Has Lamar been under heat for sexual misconduct of 27 plus women? I don't think so either.
No, I don't believe that was him. I think that was someone else.
Yeah.
So, Ravens, why are you not willing to give your franchise quarterback who's done basically all the right things, gotten you playoff win, gotten you that he's got, even though it's not like a team award, being MVP signifies that you're doing something really great for your team because that's most valuable. Not to yourself, but for the team. Why are you not willing to do what the Browns did for a guy that is basically a stranger to that franchise and has only a bad reputation to bring into the franchise and that culture? Why are you not willing to do what the Browns did, a division rival at that? Why aren't you willing to do that for your own kid, basically? Like, you drafted that guy. That is your own. And he's led you to so many great things. He's led you back into prominence after the Flacco era. Like,
I I don't understand it. The NFL is rigged.
Get it sorted out, man. Get it sorted out. Like, give him the bag. Lamar deserves it more than any other quarterback in the league right now that hasn't gotten their bag yet. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Sadly, Deshaun Watson won one playoff game.
He did?
It was thanks to Buffalo Bills, and they came back from 16-0. 16-0.
My apologies for
No, let's just I think we can all agree that we could just eliminate that win off his record. But the Colts beat Watson.
Oh yeah, of course.
In the playoffs. I mean, that's
we destroyed them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we actually destroyed them, but T.Y. Hilton had a really great game there. I remember.
I mean, if we're putting people on such high pedestals, then shouldn't Baker Mayfield stay on the Browns? Because Baker Mayfield kind of did the same that Watson did. Maybe not on the same level, but, Watson brought up a shitty-ass team, brought them to the playoffs, won a playoff game. I don't know if Baker won a playoff game, but Baker was in a worse situation. Like I said earlier, they were 0-31. They were 1-31 in 2 years.
Yeah.
The Browns only won one game in a 2-year span. Baker Mayfield comes in, brings them to the playoffs, and almost beats the Chiefs. Like, in the similar capacity, Baker Mayfield did what Deshaun Watson did in the level of success, and if we're just talking in playoff regards,
Okay.
Like,
I do not want to offend Deshaun Watson whatsoever. Don't get me wrong.
I want to offend him.
I said defend.
Oh, defend. Sorry. I misheard you.
But Baker had probably the best defense that year, and their win against the Steelers in the playoffs was very much defense driven with all the turnovers they forced, especially early. Whereas Watson did carry the Texans.
Yeah. I'm just trying to diminish Watson.
I would love to diminish Watson, but I can't run from the truth. I'm not going to give Mayfield his flowers if he doesn't directly deserve it. I'm fine with putting a bad rep on Watson, but I'm not going to try to use that to lift someone else who may not deserve it. You know what I mean? That's all. Yeah. I think Mayfield has deserved his criticism and has deserved not what has happened to him, the way the Browns has treated him and getting traded away, but I do feel like Mayfield should be under scrutiny and his status as the franchise quarterback should have been in question. They went about it in a weird way that's kind of fucked up. I agree, but yeah, I'm not so sold on Mayfield right now. He's gonna really have to prove himself with the Panthers, which is, by the way, it's so weird to see him in a Panthers uniform. I don't know if you saw him in a Panthers uniform yet, but it was just
very weird.
It was weird to look at. I was like, whoa, he's wearing white and blue. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't like it. So, are you saying that Baker's Mayfield's 92 touchdowns to 56 interception isn't equal to Watson's 104 touchdowns to 36 interceptions? That was a complete joke. I'm done instigating. I was just instigating there.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Mayfield. I mean, I don't want to talk about Watson anymore anyways. I feel like we've beat that horse. Not that there's a shortage of things to talk about in that subject, but I think let's not get too obsessed.
You're obsessed.
Because it's easy. It's easy to fall into that trap. But yeah, let's talk about fantasy.
Wait. There is some news. Light news. That happened today, actually.
All right. Before we get into fantasy, one more light league-wide news, I believe.
No.
Not even league-wide.
No, it's league-wise, but it's not good news. Well, yeah.
Well, I was just saying light because you said light.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess light as in it's gonna be quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I misinterpret. Well, I misinterpret my own thing that I said.
This guy.
It's a certain type of brain that I will not. It's Joker brain. I have Joker brain. Okay, that's not the point. So, Shaquem? Is that how you pronounce it? Shaquem?
Oh, Shaquem.
Shaquem Griffin. He announced retirement today after 4 years. So yeah, he's not going to be in the league anymore. He's if you don't know, he made NFL headlines due to having his you're not in contract
I'm
anymore.
sorry.
You're fine. But he made a lot of headlines due to one being a really good really good player, skill level wise.
Nice man.
And two is because he has like the missing hand, and it's really cool to see how he like plays football and still be able to like. I guess you can still like tackle without a hand, but I guess like more intercepting the ball wise.
It's hard not to play with one of your hands.
Yeah, is what I'm saying. And then a little bit more sad news: Len Dawson, Hall of Fame QB, who led Kansas City Chiefs to Super Bowl IV win, dies at 87, which is a little bit more sad.
For those of you such as Caleb who don't know, IV is 4 in Roman numerals. Nice try though.
But yeah, this has been such a depressing episode. Dad, he kind of looks like a badass there. What the fuck? Just smoking a cigarette in the Chiefs locker room.
Shaquem Griffin.
Shaquem.
Now we know.
Shaquem Griffin. But yeah, let's get to fantasy. This has been a really depressing episode. I'm going to do what I did last year and put screenshots at the end of each of this podcast after each week. And the screenshots just contain like just the stats and the players' points and like the total points that each matchup got. But I do want to go over at least ours and kind of our experience with that. And I do want to state that I think we added 2 more people in this draft.
No. Like 4 new teams.
4 new teams. We only had 6 last year? Dang. For some reason, I thought we had 8.
I mean,
weird.
actually, if we're going to say what new teams there are, there's 6.
6 new teams?
Yeah, we're a 10-team league.
Wait, what do you mean by 6 new teams?
So there's 6 new teams. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, but there aren't like 6 new people.
Yeah.
We weren't playing in a league of 4 people last year.
Okay, so this is how it worked. We had 8 teams last year. 4 dropped out. So we were down to 4 OG teams, and we added 6 new teams.
Yeah, 6 new teams. I guess.
So we have increased by 2 teams,
Yeah.
but we lost 4 teams, and I had to add 6 people in order to get to that point.
Okay.
Sorry that this was as complicated as it was, but if anyone's ever played in a long-term fantasy league, you know what's happening.
Yes.
You know exactly the difficulties we've had.
Yes, very, very difficult. Very difficult. That was a mind fuck. I was like, what the fuck? That was such a mind fuck there.
New teams being, should I go over?
Yeah.
I just love talking about the new names. Team Overseas, Team with No Name,
That was my favorite one.
Boise Noisy Boys, Top Shotta Fam Shotta, Team Reed. Pretty simple, right there. That was a good relaxing from the previous names. You know, it was just like hard to say the other ones. But then you just got Team Reed, which is just the guy's last name. That's just all it is.
Shout out to my boy Colin Reed.
A Sure Thing.
I guess that is a sure thing.
I mean, why not?
And then what made you change your name?
Oh, I guess I did. I just wanted a little bit different. I won my fantasy league in the WNBA. For those of you who don't know what the WNBA is, that is women's basketball.
It's so sad that we have to explain that.
I don't think I really had to. I think people know that, but and I called them the Wholesome Homies, and I just thought that was a cool name. And also, a lot of the people that are now joining this league don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about by my old team name. That was very much a very niche inside joke between just the people that are in the league beforehand. And now that there's a lot of new people I don't know, I thought change it to something that is more recognizable. Wholesome Homies.
I like that. Wholesome Homies, for sure. Do you want to go over your draft, or do you want me to go first?
I had the first overall pick, and there's been a big discussion as far as redraft leagues about who should be taken overall first overall. Some people said Christian McCaffrey. Actually, I'm not even gonna say some. A lot of people that are notorious for fantasy discussions and reporting and tips and predictions and all of that. A lot of those type of people in the media that love fantasy have been saying Christian McCaffrey number 1 overall redraft leagues. I think that's in point per reception as well, because he is a big receiving back. Let's be honest, but so is Jonathan Taylor. I find that really hard to believe. I can see why you'd say a top 3 back or just top 3 in general. Sure, I'll get behind that. But over Jonathan Taylor, I disagree. I took him number 1 overall because he's also my boy. So you kind of gotta take the people that you like the most as well. Otherwise, it's not as fun to win.
I agree. I want to reset the camera.
Bang bang! There goes the gun. All right. Derrick Henry was taken second by our good friend Trey Tyler,
Trey Dizzle,
aka the Dieback Nation.
Dieback Nation in the house.
I think Derrick Henry is great.
But he won't last.
Okay, I'm not gonna. That's fucked up. Okay, hold on. He's even my division rival. I'm not willing to say that.
Okay. He won't last in the fact that he'll get a lot of points. You'll have a slowdown and not as many points.
All right. Anyways, he's not a receiving back, so he's not gonna do well in point per reception league.
I saved myself.
And he's coming back from injury.
Yeah, so he's not gonna have that many points. So he's not going.
Not going to last. That sounds dark. What the fuck? Anyway,
I'm just trying to say.
Especially after he's coming back from injury. Like, why would you say that? All right. Anyways, after that was like Cooper Kupp, Josh Allen. By the way, Brendan, interesting to take a quarterback that early. We don't.
He's stupid.
I feel like in the redraft leagues, I haven't really seen him do that a lot. Usually it's just Trey who does that, and everyone else ignores them until like round 3, 4. But that was interesting. I was not expecting him to go for a quarterback so early, especially when he's had teams that have primarily dominated in the other positional categories. So that was fairly interesting.
I agree. I'm surprised he didn't take like Debo or someone.
Yeah, that's also true.
Oh my gosh, that was such a good pick by me. Holy shit.
Anyways, as far as my other players, I'll skip the rest of that, everyone else's shit. But I got Tyreek Hill as my second pick on the back-to-back. If you're familiar with being the number 1 overall pick, you have to wait until the end of the second round to get your back-to-back. But I still had some people follow me that I appreciated. Tyreek Hill may not be as good as he was last year with Mahomes and in that organization, but I still think he's going to dominate. Still think he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. Obviously, Waddle is good, but he's got to grow a little bit more. Travis Kelce was my other back, the other side of that back-to-back, my round 3 pick, because it's Travis fucking Kelce. I think he's going to have the best tight end season out of anyone still, especially now that Tyreek Hill is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still trying to figure out their wide receiver room situation, who's going to get the most reps, all that shit. Travis Kelce's going to dominate in the receiving game, I believe. People are going to say and argue Mark Andrews over him because he's been on the rise and all that. Fair. I'll give you that. But I still think Travis Kelce overall because we have the consistency over many seasons. Whereas Mark Andrews, he had one really good season last season. I don't think it's been as dominant beforehand, but that's just me. Then we got Nick Chubb. I really like Nick Chubb on the Browns, even though fuck the Browns. I think he's second best running back in the league behind Jonathan Taylor. Or third. I got to give respect to Derrick Henry still, but yeah, Nick Chubb's amazing. That Kareem Hunt situation is also kind of shaky as well. So if Kareem Hunt ends up on the out, that's only going to make Nick Chubb's stock rise. So then I got Lamar Jackson, and then Cortland Sutton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gabriel Davis. So I got 3 wide receivers in a row, actually, and I was really surprised Gabriel Davis fell to me as my wide receiver 3 when a lot of people are even drafting him as soon as wide receiver 1 or even 2. Actually, no, that's my wide receiver 4. So It's my fourth wide receiver I drafted. I got Gabriel Davis. And we don't really know much about him. He had a really crazy playoff performance, obviously. But as far as, like, can he keep it up through a season? Still yet to be seen. I was like, I'm going to take a chance on him at least as my fourth wide receiver. Like, if people are so high on him to take him so much earlier, then, yeah, I'm going to take him here. Elijah Mitchell was after that. Then Trey Lance. Also a guy I'm just, like, taking a chance on there because he has a really high upside. And I have Lamar Jackson even if he doesn't fulfill that upside. No, don't. You're so dumb. He's not going to be worth it. I'm telling you right now, not going to be worth it. Like, you should not drop any of your current wide receivers, no matter how good or how bad, for Devin Allen, Olympian hurdler. As great of an athlete he is not going to produce in fantasy, so stop it. Take your red tinted shades off.
Bro, he's so good though.
It's actually crazy. Anyways, I'm not. You know what? He's my competition. Yeah, take Devin Allen. Take Devin Allen. Yeah, do it. You're my competition. I'm not gonna convince you not to do it. Dawson Knox is my backup tight end, and then I got Rams defense. Then I got AJ Dillon. I actually dropped Rams defense like immediately after because I saw that they're playing Bills first. I'm like, that's not who I want to start week 1. So I took the Broncos defense against Seattle. Nice. I think that would be pretty good. I got AJ Dillon, another running back I really like who could see more chances now that Aaron Jones may or may not be declining. I don't know if you guys believe in all that talk, but I think AJ Dillon's like the best backup running back in the league. Tony Pollard's up there, Naheem Hines up there, but yeah, I think AJ Dillon's really also going to be prominent in the passing game as well with how diminished their wide receiver room is now. So, and how undeveloped, I should also add. Then I got DeAndre Hopkins because, he's going to be suspended those first 6 games, but once he comes back, Kyler Murray's going to love to have him back, and they're going to be pushing for the playoffs, of course, in a lot weaker of a conference, so they're still going to be in it. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to play a vital role in that, and will at least have one game where it's like going to give me a lot of points. So that's what I'm predicting there. Then I got Naheem Hines because that's my boy. Going to be really good in the receiving game, even if Jonathan Taylor has the ball for most of the rushing carries. Then I got Rodrigo Blankenship at kicker because I think, honestly, Colts might get off to a rough start and won't have great of a red zone success. So I think Blankenship will. He's been looking better at kicker as well. Seems to have been getting longer kicks in. That was his one thing that people didn't like about him was that he wasn't able to kick very far. He didn't have as big as a leg as others, but he's very accurate. That's the thing. So, anyways, that's all. That's my whole spiel about my draft. One of my best drafts ever, in my opinion. But I'll leave it up to you guys. Comment if you think that draft is godly.
I don't think so.
Fuck you.
I think you had a pretty good draft. Now looking at this, I don't want to drop any of my wide receivers quite yet for the king. For the king himself.
We're already calling him the king. He has one preseason touchdown. The king. That's how bad it is in Philadelphia, guys. That's how bad it is.
But I got Kyler Murray. Okay, so I was half there, half not, because I was at my internship when this was going on, so I was half paying attention, half not. So I was kind of trying to cue some players up. Hopefully, I'll get them. Some I did, some I didn't. The most tragic thing that happened in this draft is that I thought that I queued stuff up, so during the draft I can get at least some players that I want. The queue didn't work. So I ended up getting Deebo Samuel because he was my first pick. I ended up getting fucking Cooper Kupp. What is that bum?
Wait, you're trying to get Deebo Samuel first round?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then so I got Kyler Murray as my QB, pretty decent. I'm not too sure about my running back situation because my running back situation contains of Fournette, Akers, Rashard Penny, and Kenneth Gainwell, and Patterson. It's just they're decent running backs. It's just that they're so infrequent. It's such a shaky. I guess we don't really know about Cam Akers because he was injured all of last year, so he may be a lot more consistent. But Fournette was just so inconsistent last year. Was he? Yeah, he was just he like his highest was 41. I guess he did end the season pretty good. But like to start this season, he had 8 points, 9 points, 4 points. It's very low. And then he had a couple good games. Oh, actually, he's not as inconsistent as I thought, but inconsistent in a way that like his baseline is like 10 points. Like he should get 10 points every game, which is kind of good, but like not like Jonathan Taylor, in which will get you at least 20 points per game, which is double the 10 obviously. So we don't know about Cam Akers. And I picked up Rashard Penny because he ended the season last year really, really good. He didn't play all of last season, or he just wasn't the starter. So, but the last 4 of the last 5 games that he played last year, in our respective game, he had like over 130 points, 2 touchdowns, or he had at least like a touchdown in each of those 4 games. Couple 2 touchdown games, but like he had 27 points, 20 points, 32 points, and 26 points in our league. So like he ended the league. Like if he can continue that into this year, I would be pretty happy. And Patterson is I had him last year, so I won at least like a few people from last year. And Patterson was also inconsistent, but like when he was hot, there's a stretch from like week 2 to week 9 where he was averaging like 15 plus points, and not even carried to a little bit into mid-season as well, but he didn't end this. He ended the season very badly. Like
What was that? Do you think?
I'm not quite sure. I honestly was not playing, like I was not focused on the Falcons team that much, but from the couple highlights that I've seen, I think people kind of caught on to kind of his scheme and how it works, and they just weren't throwing the ball to him as much. For whatever reason, and yeah, I don't know, and he's getting older too, so I don't know if
he is old as fuck.
Yeah, if at the end of the season, soreness caught up to him and he just couldn't perform as much as he could. But it's a good. I feel like I don't have the best running back core, but I think it's pretty solid. Like it's players that maybe aren't as consistent, but can have major games that can help win leagues. My wide receiver core is the strongest. I believe that is the strongest out of anyone in the league. It's amazing. I got Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Drake London. Drake London we're not sure of, but Drake London is the only wide receiver on that fucking team other than Patterson, and Patterson is aging. And I already have Patterson, so like.
But they got Kyle Pitts.
I don't care about Kyle Pitts. Like he did shit last year, and I'm okay with Kyle Pitts because that like you can still gain a shit ton of points with like.
Who's throwing to Drake London?
Starring? Wait, like.
Who's throwing?
Marcus Mariota, baby.
Rough.
But I also got Michael Thomas and Marquez.
Valdez Scanling.
So I feel like I have my backups are awesome. My starters are awesome. Like
MVS could surprise us. I think now that Tyreek Hill's gone, someone's got to replace that role, and MVS has the best chance of doing so. He's not as fast, but he's fast. Throw him out there. Yeah, I think it's possible. Maybe it won't be as consistent as Tyreek Hill, but maybe he'll have some really solid like high performing games, you know. But it won't be consistent probably.
Yeah. He's one of those shaky players.
You just gotta figure out like when he'll pop off and when he won't. You know?
Yeah.
You gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
Caleb's trying to get into the playoffs this year.
Yeah. That's. I want to win so badly. Imagine if you won the first one, Brendan won the second one, and then I won the third one. That would be so magical.
Nah, I'm winning.
I'm winning.
I'm getting that trophy back. I'm so sad it's not in my room right now.
I'm going to win the third and last podcast, like us. I'm ending the podcast out of this year. Yeah. At least on the podcast. We were still probably.
I thought you meant the league was in it. I was like,
no. The league will probably continue for a couple more years, hopefully. But as long as the podcast, this is the third and last year, so that'll be a way to go out. You know, my struggles throughout the last 2 years and fantasy is gonna be paying off. But my weakest link on the team is my tight ends. Because I got T.J. Hawkinson and Kyle Rudolph. So those are definitely my weakest links.
Don't sleep on Hawk.
Yeah.
Don't sleep.
I just only worry is Jared Goff because he's a bum. So I don't know if he can throw past throw past 5 yards. So.
Come on. He didn't do that bad last year. He was actually pretty good, I would say.
No, he's too close.
He wasn't trash.
He's too close to Carson Wentz. He was drafted first. Carson Wentz was drafted second. It's too close of a.
Oh, so that draft was just cursed, is where.
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, shout out to Wentz.
I need to burn him.
Sam Howell is going to take his spot as QB1 on the Commanders. I have him in a different fantasy league, so I'm really cheering for Sam Howell there. Fuck Heineke as well. I don't care.
Fuck Heineke. I have the best defense in the league, and my only defense is probably my strongest link on this team. It's the Colts defense.
Let me tell you right now.
Welcome to the team, baby. I'm a Colts fan for life. Said nothing wrong about the Colts ever in my life.
If Caleb ever wants to do any trade with me, he has to throw in the Colts defense. Otherwise, I'm saying no. I don't care how lopsided it is in my favor. He has to throw in the Colts defense. Otherwise, I say no. Also, I was on the phone with my parents when I was doing the draft, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to like wait a couple rounds before I take Colts defense. And almost immediately, I just see Caleb taking it. Fucking reached so hard just to take the Colts defense. I was like, okay, fuck this dude.
Because I was casually looking at Hua's left, like on the. Wait, does that matter that the thing went off?
What thing?
The audio? Like it went into sleeping mode.
It's not off. It's
just in sleeping mode. It's just taking a little nap.
It's gonna be fine.
Okay, cool. But I was just scrolling through the top people who was left. I was thinking of who to draft next, and I saw that the Colts weren't picked yet. I'm like, how hasn't Titus picked this? I'm like,
because I don't reach. I'm not like Trey, who's going to take a kicker in the 5th round. I don't know how soon it was. I'm just exaggerating. But actually, I'm going to find out. Let's find out. How soon did Trey take 4th round? I thought I was exaggerating. He took Justin Tucker in the 4th.
Bro, okay, I took.
Do you know who fell to me in the 4th? I got Nick Chubb. No, Lamar Jackson came after Justin Tucker.
Chase.
Bro, Lamar Jackson, how are you going to have the kicker of your own team get drafted before you in a fantasy draft?
That's
Lamar,
so
how's
funny.
that going to happen? I'm going to make sure that when I play Trey in this fantasy league, I'm going to start Lamar Jackson, and he's going to
fuck shit up.
Fuck you for this.
But hey, it was Colts at 7th round.
And then Bills at 5th is what he did. So he did like a back-to-back special teams special.
That's
basically.
so bad.
You did Colts 7th round. Yeah.
That's a little bit more acceptable. Like,
you know who came to me at 7th round? Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then I got Gabriel Davis right after.
I don't really care. Those are worthless players.
You don't care right now, but just you. So it comes time to play you. Gabriel Davis 4 touchdowns.
The best receiving performance in history, in NFL history. That'll be so funny. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. But my least, I'm ashamed of this one. I'm waiting to say this guy last because no, I'm not even gonna say it. It's irrelevant. Yeah. So that's my draft. I only have one QB.
You took Dak Prescott.
No, that was. I'm gonna cut that out.
You tried to.
But I took Dak Prescott for good reasoning because their defense just got more shitty. They just lost players. And what? Diggs ain't going to do anything. He gives up the most yardage. Like, what? Oh, he has 11 touchdowns or 11 interceptions. Yeah, because fucking quarterbacks were throwing your way a million times per game. You're bound. It's like, what? You got to pick every 100 passes thrown to you? Wow, shocker. Yeah, their defense just got worse.
Poor Trevon. I feel so bad for him.
I don't care. Diggs is the worst cornerback in the league. He just gets thrown to so often.
I think he's not the worst. I think he's above average. He's a little overhyped, I will agree. He shouldn't be ranked over Stephon Diggs in the top 100.
Why was he ranked so high? Like, it makes sense.
He did lead the league in reception.
Yeah, because he was thrown to the most. Like, if I was thrown the ball...
But you have to understand, these were voted by players who have pretty good knowledge of that, and yet they still put him over. So
I don't care.
I think the players like kind of understand like yeah he's getting thrown to a lot, but he still can make plays happen. So it's like a trade-off. Like he's not going to be like a Jalen Ramsey type where he's never going to be thrown to, but he can still make the plays. Because like Jalen Ramsey is never going to lead the league in interception.
Yeah.
He's not thrown to at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just don't like it. But yeah, they have like the Cowboys have one of the best receiving cores in the league, and they know how to pass, and they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Why did I just say those two sentences? I hate myself speaking about the Cowboys as highly. But
this is sad. I would have never done this, by the way. In my pre-draft rankings, I took out the Titans, the Texans, the Jaguars, and I even took out the Patriots. I'm like, I am not drafting these guys, and I took it a step further. I'm not even going to look at them in the draft process. They're not even going to show up in my rankings. It's not going to be suggested to me at all. And this dude, he took the rival quarterback.
I need money, and I want to win so badly. I'm using them. I'm using Dak for his money.
All right. We'll take it. I won't argue.
But quick rundown, because I don't know if I went over everyone, but I think I did. But
You did.
really, 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 really fast, because I want to see how fast I can do it without any mistakes.
You're going to show it on the screen anyways.
Kyler Murray, Leonard Fournette, Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, T.J. Hawkinson, Drake London, Colts defense, Jake Elliott. I missed Jake Elliott, the best kicker in the league. That's who I missed. I knew I was missing someone. I got the best kicker in the league at Jake Elliott. Yeah. Nothing more to say that. But Dak Prescott, Cordell Patterson, Michael Thomas, Rashad Penny, Marquez, Kenneth Gainwell.
Wait, you can't just skip that. You said all the other last names. Why are you skipping out on that one?
No, it's okay.
Why are you skipping out, huh?
No, because
This doesn't count. This is a fake run then.
No.
Fraudulent.
We're
Fraudulent.
homies. We're on a first name
Future
basis.
Caleb, cut it right here. Save yourself from embarrassment. Cut it right here.
Marquez, Walter Scandlin, Kenneth Gainwell, and then I didn't go over Kyle Rudolph, but my reasoning behind Kyle Rudolph was because Tom Brady, and I still think he's really good.
My reasoning behind Kyle Rudolph is Tom Brady. What a quote, but it's true. Yeah, yeah.
And like
True.
Cameron Bates, is it Bates? Yeah, Bates. I'm gonna say Bates. Is a decent tight end, but I feel like Kyle Rudolph is going to be the new Gronk for Tom Brady. That's all I gotta say. Bye.
All right, that's it, I guess. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week for. I think we're gonna go over the rest of preseason because we only got one more week of that. We're gonna go over our predictions for the standings of all the NFL teams because we made those like midway through the offseason. We're gonna let ourselves update it with the newfound knowledge of the injuries and how certain people have performed. Give ourselves another shot to adjust some things. But yeah, it should be a good episode. And then after that, we're getting into weekly predictions. Football's back, baby. Let's fucking go. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.